And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Downshift Pass review. Today we are going to be reviewing the 2020 Volkswagen Passat R Line. I'm going to get a little bit into what the R Line means a little bit later in the review. But let's start by checking out this interior. Then we're going to check out the outside, talk a little bit about that, and then we will go for a drive. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, the 2020 Volkswagen Passat R Line. And I want you guys to start. Tell me what you think in the comments of the styling of this all-new vehicle. Well, heavily refreshed vehicle, as Volkswagen calls it. Volkswagen actually said that every panel on this vehicle is brand new, except for the roof. So the roof is a carryover from 2011. Every other panel is brand new. You have your LED headlights here. You also have LED tail lights around back, special R-Line badging. These gorgeous 19-inch wheels. I think they could be a little bit bigger to fill out the wheel well, but for the purpose of this car, they actually don't look bad. R-Line badging. And this color is gorgeous, just your pearlescent black. And here is where the most noticeable changes are. The rear end, you have brand new tail lights, of course, a rear diffuser because it's an R-Line. And then you have your fake exhaust here, which Volkswagen, Audi, I really wish you guys would stop doing that. Let's get some real tailpipes going on here. I'm missing those. Let's take a look at this trunk here. It's absolutely massive. I mean, whatever you need to fit in here will definitely fit. You do have 60/40 rear folding seats. Just pull these handles here, push down, and there you go. Nice little lip spoiler. And let's take a look at the back seat here. Now this Volkswagen Passat is exactly, this back seat is exactly why you would buy this car. I mean, it is huge. I'm 5'8". I have more than enough room to get comfortable. If I was on a road trip, I mean, you have no problems getting comfortable. You have 2 air vents. And before we get to the front seat, let's take a look under the hood. Now this engine here is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This hood is extremely heavy, wow. And it's supported by a prop rod. Pretty standard stuff here. 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder producing 174 horsepower and 206 pound-feet of torque. It doesn't sound like much power for a vehicle of this size, but once we get into the drive, we'll talk about that a little bit more. I think you'll be as surprised as I was. All right, I think it's a pretty handsome car. Tell me what you guys think. And getting into this front seat here. All right, we're gonna shut this door and let's start her up, get some air going, talk about this interior a little bit. So pretty much this interior is a carryover from 2011. They did make slight changes, but nothing too crazy. A lot of Volkswagen vehicles are moving to the new platform, so the MQB platform. So you'll have your electronic gauges, you'll have bigger screens here. I believe this is a 6.3-inch screen. A lot of cars are coming with a lot bigger screens, of course. You do have your dual zone climate control. It is automatic. USB port here, 12 volt if you need it. Push button start, obviously, Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay. And if you throw it in reverse, you do have a rear view camera where the quality is questionable, but better to have than to not. So all right, and you do have your steering wheel controls here. This side is pretty much controlling cruise control, whereas this side is controlling your screen up here. So you have a couple of different options to choose from. You have your assistants, you have your audio, telephone, and these are the different assistants. So this car has lane assist, rear traffic alert, blind spot, as well as a front assist. So, you know, if it senses that you're coming up on a car too fast, it will start beeping at you and then even apply the brakes for you. So pretty nice standard feature. It's pretty standard across the board for all cars in its class. A lot of the newer cars, I know the Honda Accord, for instance, will come to a complete stop. I don't believe this Passat will do that for you. So we'll just leave it here on the speed. Black leather, you do have an option of, or this is black leatherette actually, you do have the option of leather if you move up to the SEL trim. That'll also give you a couple of more features inside the vehicle. Does have a standard sunroof, which I love. Volkswagen's little twist knob here. I mean, this is the origination to me of a one touch. You're not really touching, but it's technically just like a one touch. Slide back all the way if need be. And that's pretty much it here, guys. It's not too much to comment on. I think Volkswagen, you know, says this is an update, but I think they probably could have updated a little bit more. But let's get into the drive and see how that is on this car. Now again, this car has the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder with 174 horsepower, 206 pound-feet of torque. It's matted to a 6-speed automatic front-wheel drive only. You know, if you remember the last Volkswagen Passat, they had the GT version, which had the VR6 engine, but Volkswagen sadly did away with the VR6. They did away with the TDIs due to the Dieselgate that they went through. I'm sure you guys know about. And now they're just offering this 2-liter as the sole engine. It gets the car going pretty well. When you're looking at the competition, can't really hold a candle. But let's turn out here and see what we can do. I'm gonna stay slow through this construction zone here. Handling feels pretty good. You know, one thing I discovered about this car when I was driving it before I started the review was this is a large vehicle. As you can tell from the back seat, as you can tell from the sides on the outside, this is classified as a large vehicle, and that it is, but it does not drive like a large vehicle. I'm going to give it some gas when the light turns here. So you will definitely not be winning any races, but you can hold tight with a couple of cars. So yeah, as I was saying, the car just doesn't drive actually as big as it is. I think that's that German engineering. Germans really know how to make a vehicle drive. They absolutely do. So it's not floaty as I expected it to be. The steering is relatively light. This car doesn't have any type of different modes like you have in your Camrys, Accords, Sonatas, pretty much every car in its class. You're not having any modes, so it's no controlling the throttle, no controlling the steering or the steering input. You just kind of get in and go. And I feel like that's what this car is about. Easy plug and play application. Not too many frills, but you definitely get that German engineering at a really good price. A really, really good price. All right. So we're gonna get onto the highway here and see what it's like at highway speeds. You know, when I first started driving this car, I thought as I hit bumps, I was just gonna be wallowing all over the place. I thought it was gonna be, you know, kind of like an old school Cadillac feel, but it's really not. I think the purpose of this car is not to be the sportiest in its class, but it's to be the most comfortable in its class. And I think I will give it that. The seats are pretty comfortable. The 6-speed transmission shifts pretty nice. The power, believe it or not, is about average. The only difference is a lot of the competition, you know, you have your V6 engine in the Camry, you have your 2-liter in the Accord that's producing 252 horsepower. The Sonata is coming out with the inline, so a lot of the competition just have that option if you want to go faster. Now, if you want more space, if you need more comfort, if you are a very tall person, if you have very tall children, this is absolutely the car for you, no doubt. And I love that they offer the R Line version, because if you want a sportier look, it kind of gives you that. The performance isn't what, you know, the performance an enthusiast would probably aim for, but let's punch it here and see what it does. Very responsive transmission. Wow. Now this car does have paddle shifters, and you definitely have a what we'll call S mode. I guess that stands for sport. And then let's downshift and see how responsive it is. Now you only have 6 gears to play with, not 8, 9, and 10 like the other cars, but it's not bad. Here we go. And it does auto upshift on its own. Alright, enough of that. Let's just drive it how most people are going to drive these cars. As we were talking earlier, this car looks pretty familiar to you. Believe it or not, this car came out in 2011 for the 2000, excuse me, it came out in 2012 for the 2011 model year. So this car is actually 8 years old. But with this refresh, you know, with the drive, the interior, I cannot tell. Now, it's not the most up-to-date interior. It's definitely missing, you know, a lot of features. I think the screen could be larger. It could have an electronic screen, or at least like Honda have half an electronic screen. Something to bring the technology a little bit more up to date. The rear view camera could be updated, but I guess Volkswagen says if you want something with a little bit more technology, a little bit more engineering, that's what the Arteon is for. Going to be stepping up in price, but that's going to be their premium sedan. This is more, and it's classified on the website as just the mid-size sedan. Now a little bit later, I'm going to play the stereo for you guys. This particular model has the standard audio system. If you step up to the SEL, that gives you the Fender audio system. I haven't had a chance to listen to the Fender, but this standard one I've played around with, and it's not bad. All right, let's go around this corner and see what we can do. All right, if you're taking a corner a little too hard, you'll probably, that's when you start reaching its limits pretty quickly, but for everyday driving, it's not too bad. All right, as I was telling you guys earlier, this car does have cruise control, former radar cruise control, as well as lane centering. It's not going to automatically drive for you like the Hyundai Sonata does, the Honda Accord, which the Sonata does a really good job at that. But it does try to maintain the lane. In my experience, it does an okay job. I'll just leave both hands on the steering wheel. I also wish Volkswagen would update this little system here to set the cruise control. It's a little confusing. initially, and even after driving the car for a little bit, I still have some doubts when I'm pushing the buttons, if I'm pressing the right thing, or if I'm asking it to do what I would like for it to do. Also, the Android Auto, for some reason, I could not get to work. I don't have an iPhone to try out Apple CarPlay. But with the Android Auto, for some reason, when I plugged in my phone, it was not working. That could be a software issue. It could just be anything. So something you want to check out before you drive off the lot in one. And as I drive the car normally, I'll tell you one thing: this is a very comfortable car. It's a comfortable cruiser. It doesn't have to be rush. You know, when you start rushing it is when you can tell the limits aren't that high. But if you're not looking for that, if you're just looking for something to drive to work every day, you're taking road trips up and down the street to go see grandma, then this is absolutely the car for you. Brakes feel good. Not much turbo lag either. I really forget that this car has a turbo in it. These car companies are doing a really good job, especially with the automatic transmissions, of getting rid of that turbo lag. Doesn't feel quite like a naturally aspirated engine, but the turbo is definitely not laggy like some of the others. All right, I know I promised you guys we're gonna listen to this stereo, so I'm going to crank some tunes up so you guys can hear it and tell me what you think. Of the audio, you know, for a standard system, it does not sound bad. I can only imagine that Defender would have a little bit more clarity, but the bass levels sound good. The instruments sound pretty good. It sounds good overall. I'm not upset with it. And cruising on to my final thoughts of this vehicle, you know, when you think about everything that this car represents, which is the mid-size sedan, as Volkswagen calls it, it does all of that very well. You have the most space in its class, you have adequate power, you have pretty good gas mileage, which I don't think we talked about, but this gets up to 34 miles per gallon, which is terrific for a car this size. Imagine being on a road trip, how far you can go. So 34 miles per gallon on the highway. It just does everything really well. If you're looking for something a little bit more sporty, you know, I would look elsewhere, probably at the Honda Accord, possibly a Camry XSE V6. But if you're not looking to drag race or any of that, this is actually a pretty good choice for you. And you also get that German build quality, as well as a little bit more of a German feel as you're driving the car. So if that sounds like something you'll be interested in, be sure to add this to your list. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I do ask that you please subscribe, like, and comment. Share with a friend. Also, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to join us over on Instagram at DownShiftPass, where you can stay up to date with everything that we're reviewing and everything going on with the channel, as well as TikTok, where we have some really fun things going on over there. But that's it for now. We appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.